we get more than 2,000 likes at this videos, we will upload more patriotic news. Trump team's attacks on Mueller rattle Washington. The White House is rapidly ratcheting up its public threats against special counsel Robert Mueller and his team, raising concerns among Democrats and Republicans alike across Washington. President Donald Trump continues to deride Mueller's investigation into Russia's interference in the 2016 election as a witch hunt, and warned the longtime prosecutor in a Wednesday interview with the New York Times to stay away from investigating his family's finances, saying it would be a violation. The president also pushed the notion that some members of Mueller's team, who have previously donated to Democratic campaigns, are ethically compromised. His surrogates have pushed similar talking points, while White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Sanders reiterated Thursday that Trump retains the right to remove Mueller. The prospect of Trump firing the special counsel sends shivers across Capitol Hill, with one senior Republican congressional aide telling Politico on Friday that the only reason he could think of for such a move would be trying to obstruct justice. "He is a revered figure on the Hill, he is someone who has a sterling reputation," the aide said of Mueller. "No one really questions his integrity." Trump's allies defended the various tactics on Friday. "People should know what folks' pasts and their motivations and their political motivations are. These weren't minor donations," Kellyanne Conway, a senior White House aide, told Fox News on Friday about Mueller's team. Now, whether that prejudices them one way or the other in the investigation remains to be seen. But it is relevant information for people to have. If you're going to be sued or are sued, you're always going to look for conflicts with a judge, with prosecutors, with witnesses, said Representative Chris Collins, RN.Y, an early Trump supporter, in an interview with CNN. "I think this is nothing more than standard practice when you're involved in litigation or potential litigation." The Trump team's defense of the Mueller attacks come after a flurry of reports emerged Thursday evening that the president's lawyers and aides were stockpiling information against Mueller and his team to discredit the probe and possibly lay the groundwork for firing him. The intensified effort also comes before two highly anticipated congressional appearances next week. Trump's son-in-law and top advisor Jared Kushner is due to testify behind closed doors to the Senate Intelligence Committee, while former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and Donald Trump Jr. are scheduled to testify publicly before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. But even as Trump's team tries to undermine the various probes, Mueller has been widely praised by members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, complicating the White House's messaging effort. "I understand where they're going, they're moving toward trying to discredit Mueller," the GOP aide said, and called the tactic ridiculous. Trump's allies have also enthusiastically embraced Trump's warning that Mueller must limit the scope of his investigation and avoid looking at the Trump family's financial dealings. "The scope is going to have to stay within his mandate," Jay Sekulow, one of Trump's outside lawyers, told the Washington Post on Thursday. "If there's drifting, we're going to object." Sanders had also tried to drive that point home to reporters on Thursday during the daily briefing, which has been held off-camera since June 29. The point Trump has trying to make is that the clear purpose of the Russia investigation is to review Russia's meddling in the election, and that should be the focus of the investigation. "Nothing beyond that," Sanders said. The president is making it clear that the special counsel should not move outside the scope of the investigation. And Collins backed up that position on Friday. "I would hope that Mueller doesn't cross the line into tax returns," Collins said on CNN. "And he should let go of some of the business things." The laying of the groundwork for attacks on Mueller is not the only thing raising concern on Capitol Hill as Trump continues to obsess over the Russia investigation. The Washington Post reported on Thursday that Trump's legal team is exploring the limits of the president's pardon power, including whether or not he could potentially pardon himself, as well as his aides and family members. That prospect immediately raised protests from Democrats, with Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, calling on Trump to rule out categorically the prospect of pardons. Senator Mark Warner, DVA, the top Democrat on the Senate's Intelligence Committee, said pardons at this point would be crossing a fundamental line. Heritage slams Ivanka's paid leave plan. A conservative think tank that worked closely with President Donald Trump during the transition is coming down hard on Ivanka Trump's paid leave proposal. In a policy memo released Friday, the Heritage Foundation argued that a federal paid leave mandate would establish a new national entitlement that could expand as other federal entitlements have, potentially costing hundreds of billions of dollars a year. This wasn't Heritage's first break with the Trump administration. In March, Heritage Action, the foundation's 501c4, called the first iteration of Obamacare repeal bad politics and, more importantly, bad policy. In May, Heritage ousted President Jim DeMint, who had forged the foundation's close relationship with Trump. But the new 10-page memo on paid leave may represent a more personal break with the Trump White House by taking aim at a policy promoted by Trump's daughter. The memo's author, research fellow Rachel Gressler, wrote that instituting a federal leave policy would discourage private companies from offering paid leave and undermine existing state leave laws. Even a targeted, relatively limited policy like Trump's, which would extend 6 weeks paid leave to new mothers and fathers, could quickly inflate to include paid sick, medical, and caregiver leave, more generous benefits, and longer periods of leave, Gressler wrote. An extensive and generous federal, paid family leave program could leave taxpayers employing more workers, through PFO benefit checks, than any private sector employer in the U.S., Gressler wrote. Ideologically, the conservative Heritage's opposition to a paid family leave program is hardly surprising. But it will likely undermine Ivanka Trump's already shaky efforts to win support from recalcitrant congressional Republicans, who would prefer a program that was either voluntary or confined to extending tax credits. At a meeting in June, Senator Marco Rubio, R. Florida, discussed his child tax credit plan, and Senator Deb Fischer, R. Nebraska, told the first daughter about her bill that would give tax breaks to businesses that offer paid leave. A day later, Ivanka Trump met with members of the House to discuss paid leave and other family issues. Heritage's position stands in contrast to that of the conservative American Enterprise Institute, which collaborated with the liberal Brookings Institution recently on a plan that would require businesses to offer 8 weeks paid leave, funded through a payroll tax and some congressional appropriations. Thea and Brookings scholars met recently with Ivanka Trump about their proposal. The fact that now a majority of families have both parents working, the need to address policies that allow families to maintain work-life balance, is important, said Aparna Mathur, an economic policy scholar who helped write the report. Women's workforce participation has started to stagnate, and part of the reason is the lack of these policies. The Heritage report conceded that studies both within and outside the United States show that paid leave can have an economic benefit. When women have access to paid leave, their total work and earnings actually increase because more women return to work, and they are less likely to take long absences from the labor market. Where the disagreement lay, Heritage said, was who should pay for it. There is general agreement that providing workers with the flexibility to be at home with their new children is good for parents and children, and often businesses as well, the report says. What is not always agreed on is who should pay for parents who work outside the home to stay at home after they have or adopt a child. Conservative group pulls award from Sean Hannity. Fox News host Sean Hannity will no longer receive the Media Research Center's William F. Buckley Jr. Award for Media Excellence at the group's September gala. Sources familiar with the situation said it is because Buckley's son, Christopher Buckley, was unhappy with the decision and expressed his views to MRC head Brent Bozell, who is also Buckley's nephew. But Hannity and the MRC are claiming it's a scheduling conflict. Hannity's name has been removed from the event's website. It's a cover-up, a source in conservative media familiar with the situation told Politico. Buckley declined to comment. Sources close to Hannity said he had to decline the award because he couldn't attend the gala, and that it wouldn't be fair to the conservative media watchdog organization if he couldn't make it to the event. A spokesperson for the MRC, Ryan Moy, also said the schedules did not align. A Fox News spokesperson said Hannity couldn't attend because of scheduling problems and that he apologized that he was unable to attend the event, which is their big annual fundraiser. CNN first reported that Buckley was unhappy with Hannity receiving the award, and that the scheduling reason was concocted as an excuse. Hannity responded on Twitter on Friday, saying if National Review, Never Trumpers or WFB's Son were upset about me receiving the award, they never told me. Now I'm really glad I said no thanks, he wrote. Fact, awards are BS ways to raise dollar. The only award I care about is serving my audience, the support of my audience, and saving the USA. Recipients of the award, most recently the late conservative icon Phyllis Schlafly, have received the award without attending the gala. Schlafly accepted via video message. Mueller said it's Bozell's policy that award recipients attend in person. Schlafly, he said, was scheduled to attend up until the last moment, but was unable to and submitted a video. Mueller did not respond to a follow-up question about who, if anyone, would now receive the award at this year's event. Previous winners of the award include Andrew Breitbart, Charles Krauthammer and Charlie Daniels. The Media Research Center's annual gala, where conservatives are honored and mock dishonor awards are bestowed on liberals, is one of the organization's main fundraising events each year. Tickets go for $500, and the gala is often held at the National Building Museum in Washington. New York Times columnist Bret Stephens, who has become Hannity's bête noire, used a recent column to excoriate the MRC decision to give the Fox News host an award bearing Buckley's name. As honors go, neither the award nor the organization bestowing it, the Media Research Center, is particularly noteworthy, he wrote earlier this month. But sometimes symbolism is more potent than fact. If we have reached the point where rank-and-file conservatives see nothing amiss with giving Hannity an award named for Buckley, then surely there's a Milton Friedman Prize awaiting Steve Bannon for his insights on free trade. And maybe Sean Spicer can receive the Václav Havel International Prize for Creative Dissent for his role in exposing fake news. The floor's the limit. Hannity responded to the column at the time by tweeting that he agrees with Stephens in that he does not deserve the Buckley Award, but that he doesn't care what Stephens Schiff, Warner launched preemptive strike on Trump pardons. The top Democrats on the congressional panels investigating Russia's election meddling are warning President Donald Trump not to attempt to pardon his campaign aides whose alleged ties to Moscow are now under investigation. The statements by Representative Adam Schiff of California and Mark Warner of Virginia follow reports, including in the Huffington Post, that Trump's legal team is exploring the possibility of pardons. Schiff called the reports disturbing and said it is something the president should rule out categorically. Warner said pardoning individuals at this early stage in these ongoing investigations would be crossing a fundamental line. Schiff and Warner serve in the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, respectively, which are investigating Russia's interference in last year's presidential election, including the possibility of collusion with the Trump campaign. Schiff, in his statement, defended Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who is overseeing the FBI's investigation into the issue. In an interview with the New York Times earlier this week, Trump indicated it would be a breach of Mueller's mandate to investigate the Trump family's finances. A day later, Bloomberg reported Mueller was expanding his probe to do just that. There is no doubt that Mueller has the authority to investigate anything that arises from his investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia, including financial links, Schiff said on Friday. Indeed, this is a very important part of Mueller's responsibility, given that any financial impropriety between Russia and the Trump Organization, such as money laundering, could represent just the kind of compromat that Russia could utilize to influence administration policy.